common genre of English American literature. Literary fiction. Literary fiction novels are considered works with artistic value and literary merit. They often include political criticism, social commentary, and reflection on humanity. For example, The Open Boat. Mystery. Mystery novels and also called detective fiction, follows a detective solving a case from start to finish. They drop clues and slowly reveal information, turning the reader into a detective trying to solve the case too. For example, The Adventure of Sherlock Holmes. Next is a thriller. Thriller novels are dark, mysterious, and suspenseful, plot-driven stories. They very seldom include comedic elements, but what they lack in humor, they make up for in suspense. For example, The Bird Bats. Horror. Horror novels are meant to scare, startle, shock, and even repulse readers, generally focusing on the themes of death, demons, evil spirit, and afterlife. They prey on fears with scary beings like ghosts, vampires, werewolves, witches, and monsters. For example, the Dracula. Historical. Historical fiction novels take place in the past, written with a careful balance of research and creativity. They transport readers to another theme and place which can be real, imagined, or a combination of both. The stories of American freedom. Next is the romance. Romantic fiction centers about love stories between two people. They are light-hearted, optimistic, and have an emotional, satisfying ending. For example, the William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. Next is the Western. Western novels tell the story of cowboys, settlers, and outlaws. They're shaped specifically by their genre-specific elements and rely on them in ways that novel in other fiction genre don't. For example, The Time It Never Rained. Bildungsroman. Bildungsroman is a literary genre of stories about a character growing psychology and morally from their youth into adulthood. Literary translated, a Bildungsroman is a novel of education or a novel of formation. For example, To Kill a Mockingbird. Speculative fiction is a supergenre that encompasses a number of different types of fiction, from science fiction to fantasy to dystopian. The stories take place in a world different from our own. For example, the United States of Japan. Next is the science fiction. Sci-fi novels are speculative stories with imagined elements that don't exist in the real world. Common elements of sci-fi novels include time travel, space exploration, and futuristic societies. For example, The Lord of the Rings. Fantasy novels are speculative fiction stories with imaginary characters set in imaginary universes. They are inspired mythology, folklore, and often include elements of magic. The genre attract both children and adults. Well-known titles from J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter. Dystopian novels are a genre of science fiction. They're set in societies viewed as worse than the one in which we live. For example, Time Machine. Next is the magical realism. Realism novels depict the world truth. The fantastical elements aren't viewed as odd or unique. They're considered normal in the world in which the story takes place. For example, the Eva Luna. Next is the realist literature. Realist fiction novels are set in a time and place that could actually happen in the world. They depict real people, places, and stories in order to be as truthful as possible. For example, the Me Before You and To All the Boys I've Loved Before. And that's all about the common genre of English American literature.